Hey everyone, welcome to Maturity Hour. This is a brand new podcast where we primarily talk about Magic the Gathering. I'm Parker Martin.
I'm Desmond Thackeray.
And I am Michael Loy.
Yeah, so we all play Magic. We like it, and we're just going to go ahead and start with a full set review, starting with commons and uncommons, and this is for obviously Rivals of Ixalan, which is coming out really soon. Just, starting with white. So the first card that we have is called Blazing Hope. It's 1 CMC, 1 white. It's an instant. And of course, the actual Oracle text is exile target creature with power greater than or equal to your life total. What do you guys think about this card?
I really don't like it. I think you're rarely going to get to play it, and if you are playing it, you're in a lot of trouble anyway. So I think maybe if this ends up in my sideboard and they have Galta or something like that, it might be playable, but 99% of the time, no.
You're talking about in a standard format, right?
No, I'm limited.
Limited?
Yeah.
Okay. I think in limited, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's very appealing because it's 1 mana, but yeah, of course, it does have a huge drawback of you're already losing if you're playing this card. In a standard format or constructed format, I could see it being interesting if you're doing some sort of blood or Argyl's Bloodbath thing where you're paying your own life to do things. But yeah, for the most part, it's kind of bad.
I could see this being useful in limited. Like, if I were to assign a letter grade, I'd probably give it a C+.
Yeah.
Mainly because I think there's a lot of potential for this card to be used as like a bluffing tool. In my personal opinion, there's some huge swinging creatures, especially in the dinosaur colors, that this could probably be your the card that almost enables you to stabilize. Especially if you top deck it in the mid to late game. I could see that being useful, but of course, just as its name implies, it's obviously a break glass in case of emergency card.
Right.
And of course, you also have to consider that when you go to a pre-release, you build a deck with what you open, and I could see this maybe put it in your main deck, but once again, there's just so many factors. So yeah, what do you guys think in terms of a letter grade for limited?
For limited, I wouldn't go any higher than C.
Yeah.
I wouldn't ever put that in the main board. I think that is a purely sideboard card against dinosaurs, where you are seeing those big, beefy creatures.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're facing pirates, if you're facing vampires, even merfolk, most of the time you're going to have more life than whatever they're swinging with. It might be highest toughness power 5.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be too useful.
Low D for me versus anything but dinosaurs, and then it's a low C. That's the grade that I'd give this. I never want to play it.
Yeah. Fair points. The next uncommon we have is Majestic Heliopterus, and it's a 4 CMC, one of that mana being white. It's a flying dinosaur. Whenever it whenever it attacks, another target dinosaur you control gains flying until end of turn. Its body is it's a 2 power, 2 toughness creature. What do you guys think?
So I really like that card in limited. That is an amazing card in limited. I would never play that in constructed. It's just too slow. You're going to be wanting to do other things with your 4 mana. For the most part, you don't need flying with your dinosaurs. They're going to have trample or some other mechanics that make them scary to deal with. So in limited, again, this is amazing. It's a 4 mana 2/2 flyer on its own, and then it makes another dinosaur fly, which again in limited is super strong. But I will never play that in constructed.
Same if you're going dinosaurs and you get this as a mid-pack pick, and you've already decided you have a few good dinosaurs. in white, in red, and well, obviously green as well. But if you're going maybe not if you're going with any combination of green white, red white, and comes up as a mid pack pick, I would definitely I'd rate it highly, low B.
For limited, like I would say probably B minus or a B. Just personally, I think that like sure there are ways that you can cheat it out earlier, especially in your 2 packs of like sealed from just like standard or like regular Ixalan. You do have a lot of creatures that like help you cheat out dinosaurs faster. I think that makes it like better, but like once again, I feel like even to make use of its ability, you need another dino on the actual battlefield to actually make use of that evasive ability. That's why I'm just sticking probably close to a like middle B for me.
I think it on its own it applies a lot of pressure. So even playing only a few dinosaurs, for me this would be something I'm still going to play in limited. 4 mana isn't too scary. It's not too far. 5 mana would definitely push it. And like you said, a lot of things can cheat it out early. Like we'll see later on, there's a green card that will help you get this out early if need be.
Very vulnerable to removal too with a 2/2 body.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm like primarily concerned with. But yeah. All right. The next uncommon we have is called Everdawn Champion. It's 3 CMC, double white in its cost. It is a creature, human soldier, and its text reads: "Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to Everdawn Champion." So wow, like that's pretty good. The double white in its cost is a little concerning though. To me at least, it is a 2/2. Yeah. Thoughts?
So I could see this card being good if you're running a deck that has enchantments or artifacts that are buffing its power, because that way you're applying pressure. You're going to swing with this constantly. It's a little less effective if you're playing the defensive game and you have to use it to block. That's not something I'd want to do with that card. It being 2 white mana seems very appropriate for what it is. But again, I would only play this card if I'm playing something that already gives my creatures additional power, because otherwise it's pretty slow on its own.
Mike?
Yeah, I think it has the same downsides with the 2/2 body that the flyer we just looked at has. Very vulnerable to burn and removal. It's only indestructible during combat. You're going to need ways, like Desmond said, to buff it. But still, it is, if you can get this out on turn 3 with some enchantments and attach them next turn, equipment enchantments. I could see it being very strong, but getting to that point without it being bolted down is going to be an issue, because once that's out, it's going to be a premium target for removal.
What would you guys rate this in terms of like a letter grade?
I give it a C.
Yeah.
Again, like especially if you're putting enchantments on it, then you're putting a lot of your eggs in one basket, because you feel pretty safe with it preventing combat damage. But then of course there's removal, like lightning strike gets rid of it, walk the plank, anything like that will get rid of this. So it ends up just being a waste of mana for the most part, and it's also 2 white, so it's hard to cast early on.
Yeah, it's true.
C plus, C plus for me. Mid pack again. I wouldn't first pick it.
Yeah, I'm somewhere between a C plus and like a B minus, definitely. All right, next up we have a pretty nice combat trick. It's called Pride of Conquerors. It's 2 CMC, 1 white, 1 colorless. It is an instant, and it has Ascend. So right off the bat, if like once you cast this and you have 10 or more permanents, you're going to get the City's Blessing token for the rest of the game. And it reads: creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. If you have the City's Blessing, you're gonna all those creatures are going to get +2/+2 until end of turn instead. I haven't really taken a good look at how easily you can actually get City's Blessing. Of course, permanents do include land. It's basically anything that stays on the actual table. Enchantments, creatures, land, all that stuff that of course remains on the board counts as a permanent, not including tokens though. So
That includes tokens.
it does?
It does. Yes.
Okay.
They're permanents once they're on the battlefield.
I see. Huh.
Yeah, so if you're going vampires with this, then you're likely getting ascend quicker than you would with any other tribe.
Absolutely.
It's not feasible. It's not unfeasible to have 10 permanents out by turn 4. If you're going wide with tokens, turn 4 or 5, you put this. You have 10 tokens out, or not 10 tokens. You have 10 permanents out. You throw this down, it'll win you the game. This is honestly a pretty good card. B plus for me. B or B plus for me. Definitely.
The fact that it's instant, that's what is the icing on the cake for it. Because if it was a sorcery, I'd say this is pretty bad. Because that way your opponent knows what's happening, they can block accordingly. But if you're just swinging with a bunch of weenie vampires, they're not going to see this coming, and all of a sudden they're 3/3s or more than that possibly. For 2 mana, it's very, very useful. I almost thought just now of maybe playing this in a red-white deck with low to the ground dinosaurs or just really cheap creatures, but this really fits the bill for token decks because Ascend is, I think, pretty hard to get on its own, but with tokens, of course, it makes it a lot easier. I think Ascend's going to be hard to pull off in Standard, but in a limited setting where there's not board wipes like crazy or removal like crazy, then getting 10 permanents will be pretty easy.
I think this really works well with a lot of those like life-linked sort of like vampires too. Like that has the potential to really put you ahead of your opponent's life total. I would give this probably A- for like an actual combat trick. Yeah.
Is this first pick for you?
I don't know if I would pick one this in draft, but come to think of it, like I haven't really been considering that, but I don't know if I would know. You
usually want to pick one a creature. Like it needs to be something that can kind of go with the baseline. Like that on its own won't do anything. It's a great card, but you need to be playing those weenies to actually play this effectively.
This is something that you'd probably get if it wheeled, right?
Yeah.
We also have to, remember that when you're drafting, you're really trying to go for the BREAD acronym.
Yep.
So obviously you're going to pick bombs and fast and cheap removal first. So it's definitely not a pick one. So Baffling End is our next.
I hate the art. I hate the art on this card. It's so stupid.
It looks like he's I don't know, sniffing some incense or something like that, or
it's like a burnt.
Doing some rails.
It's a burnt body. But, what's he doing there?
I don't quite understand the flavor of this card either. It's called Baffling End. It's 2 CMC, one of that mana being white. It's an enchantment, and when it enters the battlefield, you exile target creature an opponent controls with CMC 3 or less. And when Baffling End, the enchantment itself, leaves the battlefield, your opponent will get a 3/3 green dinosaur creature token with trample. So the flavor, I guess, is you're removing when I first saw this, I was under the impression is Ixalan this prison Azorius plane where they turn bad people into is this an actual creature being turned into a dinosaur? I don't get it.
I couldn't tell you. I don't. The flavor is very confusing on this. But it is a good card. There's not a lot of artifact hate in Ixalan or Rivals. And,
you mean enchantment hate?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I meant enchantment hate. There's not a lot of enchantment hate. For two mana,
it's pretty good removal for me.
It's great removal. Yeah.
Of course, there is enchantment hate, but I don't know. People are probably going to side it in against you if you play this in your in game one.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to pull off.
I don't like this card at all. I think the clause is a little too much. The fact that it needs to be CMC 3 or less. I don't understand why that even needs to be the case because you're giving them a 3/3 dinosaur if this leaves the battlefield. So why would this be overpowered if it exiled something with CMC 3 or more, right?
That's a good point.
I'm not going to ever sideboard this in, I don't think. I don't ever want to give someone a dinosaur. And again, like this set does have naturalize, so
Yeah.
you're gonna see in limited some enchantment removal. So I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth the risk at all.
Interesting. So what would you give it in terms of a letter grade?
D.
D. Wow.
It does make some good points. I'd still give it a try. I'd give it a C, C plus.
I'm gonna go with like C minus. You know, I'm pretty sure like you like I think it's actually kind of like good that you have removal. Of course, that clause of CMC three or less is annoying, but when you consider that there are some interesting signposts and even some like like rare and even like legendary vampires that could probably be a really excellent target for this. I'm thinking of like Maverick Fane, but again, like there's just like too many variables like in order for the planets to align, in order for this to be a good card. But sideboard, it's okay.
Yeah. But like the one thing that bothers me is like if someone was playing Hostage Taker, I couldn't do anything about that with that card. 2 mana, I can exile some little weenies. That's about it. And of course, yeah, like you said, there's some legendary vampires, but that's very unlikely to happen.
True. All right then. Our next uncommon is Famished Paladin. It's CMC 2, one of course being white. It's a vampire knight creature. It doesn't untap during your untap step. However, whenever you gain life, then it untaps. This is a pretty good wall.
Did you mention the power toughness?
Yeah, it's a 3/3,
which is really good.
Yeah, a 3/3 for 2. It's pretty awesome. And of course, you're gonna want to play this in the actual vampire tribe.
Mm-hmm.
I would give this a B plus.
I would give it a B. I would almost lean towards B plus, but the fact that it does still have that clause that you have to gain life to untap it is a little unfortunate. But again, you're playing it in vampires, you will gain life, but there is the chance that you won't untap it at a dire moment. So that's why I give it a B and not a B plus.
Yeah, like I don't think you would want to swing with this early on. You would just want to like use it as a body, as a wall. Yeah,
I think this is a much better card in in constructed than limited. There are already a few modern combos that will give you infinite life with this guy, and as for limited, I would go on the lower end of a B, even a B minus. I don't like not being able to untap when unless I gain life, and this is only really good if we're going tribal vampires. It's the only real tribe that has life gain. So maybe vampires, B minus, but otherwise I wouldn't.
Are there a lot of cards in black that will give you life too?
Yep. Yeah, there's a decent amount. There's one card, I can't remember what it's called. It's actually a vampire. It's 4 mana, and I can't remember if it's ETB or end of the turn. I think it's end of the turn, but
there is an ETB. Dustborn Sky Marcher will give you life when it enters the battlefield.
The one I'm thinking of is you reveal the top card of your library, you put it in your hands, and then each opponent loses life equal to its CMC, and you gain life.
Oh, that's a great card, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
a ridiculously good card.
Okay, so let's move on to Sky Matcher Aspirant. This is a 1 white. It's a 2/1, a vampire soldier with Ascend. So once again, if you play any cards with Ascend, they're going to check to see if you have 10 or more permanents, and then you're going to get the City's Blessing. So just be, cognizant of that if you actually plan on getting, or if you want to sort of like build your deck around that mechanic, make sure that you have cards that actually have and check for those 10 permanents. So this creature has flying as long as you have the actual City's Blessing. I think it's so. This is what you'd consider to be a piker, a 2/1. Very vulnerable against something like Swashbuckling, so there's probably a lot of ways to kill it. But yeah, like you probably want to buff this with some kind of an enchantment, just like our other cheap Ascend or our like other human soldiers that we were talking about earlier. I would give this probably just a flat B.
I couldn't give it a B because of the fact that it's a 2/1. We'll see later on in the red cards. There's like the Forerunner in red that when a dinosaur enters the battlefield, deal 1 damage to each creature, and it's a May effect, right?
Yeah.
So this thing dies super easy to that. There's other Ryal-like cards, and I can't remember if they say creature you control only, but if it's just deal 1 damage to a creature, so many things can kill that. Easy
That's
peasy.
true. I didn't consider that. I think I gave it B just because when you play limited, you want to have a really nice curve. I think this like fills out your curve really well. But yeah, like I guess I could lower it to like B- or something like that. All right.
I think it's a great run. I think it's a great 1-drop. I think it's great that it gets flying later. I wouldn't give it a B. It's a mid-pack pick for me when I'm trying to fill out my lower curve worth of creatures. I wouldn't pass it up in the mid-pack, but it wouldn't be my first in my first 3 picks. It would be I don't know. Definitely a mid-pack, and I would rate it CC plus solid.
Sick.
Yeah, at most you're getting 1 swing with it before someone plays a creature, and you're like, oh crap, now I gotta wait for 10 permanents. The only times that you might be able to swing more than that is if your opponent isn't able to play creatures, and that means they're already losing because they're screwed by mana or something. So.
Yeah, and it's low mana cost combined with the low mana cost of most vampires. It kind of helps you get Ascend earlier if they don't remove it by then. But like you said, like there's plenty of removal in red, and it'll get chumped by literally anything. So.
Right on. So let's just loop back and touch on Imperial Ceratops. This is a 5 CMC dinosaur. It's a 3 power, 5 toughness creature. And of course, one of that 5 mana has to be white. And this has Enrage. Whenever Imperial Ceratops is dealt damage, you gain 2 life. So, yeah, like, pretty expensive. For a 3/5 creature, you're paying 5 mana for a 3/5. Decent body. Obviously, really easy to cheat out earlier if you are choosing the actual dinosaur tribe. I would probably give this a C plus or a B minus.
I wouldn't go that high. I think I would. I don't even want to play a 3/5 for 5. And like when you see this card, you're always thinking about your opponent swinging into this and getting chumped, so you can heal. But that's never going to happen. You have this out of the board, and you have something that this will block. They're not going to be swinging in with it unless they have a combat trick in their hand or they're bluffing. But most of the time, they're not just going to swing in and give you life.
I actually really like this card. I wouldn't give it an A, but it's somewhere in the B bracket for me because it's a 3/5. It's a big body. Enrage, again, with this set especially, like we had Ryle in the last set, but this set especially has so much global riling and stuff like that it's actually really easy to trigger Enrage on your own.
Yeah.
And even just being able to play this 3/5 road stop for you, like if you're facing an aggro deck, they're low to the ground. They got these cheap creatures. As soon as you play this, they're gonna stop because there's no point. They're gonna start losing creatures. You're gonna gain life. It's gonna just reset the entire game for them. So this creature, even if you can't play it until turn 5, I think is pretty strong. If you're having a bad time
Earlier than turn 5, potentially too.
Yeah,
right?
and that's what I'm saying. Like if you have to wait till turn 5, it's still not that bad. But I mean, if you're really behind, then yeah, it could suck. But again, to me, this card 3/5, getting 2 life on damage, it's pretty strong.
So final verdict on this then?
I give it a B plus.
B plus.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Moving back forward, we have Forerunner of the Legion. This is a 3 CMC vampire knight creature with 2 power and 2 toughness. When Forerunner of the Legion enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a vampire card, reveal it, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. So it tutors for any vampire in your deck. It also says whenever another vampire enters the battlefield under your control, target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. That's pretty cool. There's a lot of fantastic legendary vampires that you would want to tutor for. You could even tutor Legion Conquistador. I don't know if you'd want to do that, but hey, is there are there any cards that grant you an actual discount for casting vampires? Could you play this on turn 2 somehow?
I don't really think so. If you're in limited and you're somehow doing vampires and dinosaurs, then there is, because actually no.
You can do Drover. You can put Drover, this and Drover, green, white.
Yeah, I guess that's really about it.
That's a weird combo though.
There's a rampant growth card, but even still, you're playing on turn 3 if you're rampant growthing on turn 2. So
yeah,
I don't think this is bad though. Like in limited, 2/2 on turn 3 is nothing to worry about. You're fine when you're playing this. You can search for any legendary vampire you may have pulled in your draft, or even just a big body vampire that you have that you want for when you can actually play it.
Yeah, like those 5 CMC of the Bloodstained style creatures would be excellent with this.
The only gripe I have about this card is out of the other Forerunner cards, the second ability isn't that strong. Some of the other ones I think are a lot stronger.
I don't know. I disagree. I think that you get a Legion's Landing with this, and suddenly you're making 2/2 vampires every
or
turn.
Mavrin.
Or Mavrin Fane, or anything that makes vampire tokens.
Yeah.
This card's great. There's another card.
That probably takes too long to set up, though. The way that you describe it, that relies on having 3 other cards just curving out into that.
Yeah,
seems unlikely.
There's also a 3-drop Anthem in the set that I think it's also in white. We'll get to it unless it's a rare.
I think it might be a rare.
It's a rare.
Yeah.
But you can suddenly get really stupid tokens, and being able to create a new token each turn that also gets a +1/+1 counter on it. I think you're kind of undervaluing that ability for vampires at least.
Okay, I would say in a constructed setting, you're absolutely right. It'd be a lot stronger there because you're going to be curving out those vampires, and sure, you can play Legion's Landing or whatever to make 1/1s. In a limited format, you're not going to be playing vampires every turn. Even if you're going tribal, you're not going to have turns where you're playing vampires. So this kind of stops a little dead. Whereas I'm pretty sure the green one gives all your creatures +1/+1 till end of turn.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It might be higher mana cost. I could be completely wrong, but
it is.
I guess,
it's a 4 mana cost instead of a 3.
Yeah. So we'll see it when we get there. So it has its pros and cons.
Letter grades?
I give it a B-.
Yeah.
The fact that it tutors that's really good.
B for me.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Probably B-. All right. So our next creature, I think we're now into uncommons. So this is
commons.
Sorry, yes, commons. This is Sanguine Glorifier. It's CMC 4. This is a vampire cleric with a body of 3/3. When Sanguine Glorifier enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature. Sorry, vampire you control. This is pretty. This is like a real plain Jane vampire, I would call it. I wouldn't give this anything higher than C+ to B-. Remember, you're paying 4 mana for a 3/3, and sure, you get to buff one of your vampires. It would be fantastic with Skymarch or Aspirant. But once again, that's like a 3-turn difference. So
it's Jade Guardian without the hexproof.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I would say C+, B-, tops, but even B- is a little too generous. Yeah. A 3/3 is pretty good, especially for a common. Like a 3/3 for 4 is pretty good for a vampire, especially. So putting a 1/1 counter on another target vampire, that's the biggest clause, right? It says put a 1/1 counter on another target
Yeah.
vampire. So there's 2 clauses there. It has to be another creature, so you need to have another creature, and it needs to be a vampire. So a lot of ifs there.
And it's just weird to see the counter generation not in Merfolk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird to see it in vampires right now.
A little shoehorned in.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. So next up we have Luminous Bonds. This is an arrest sort of enchantment effect for 3 CMC. It's an aura. So you enchant target creature, and enchanted creature can't attack or block. So decent removal, a little expensive. I mean, like, usually arrests are 3 CMC, sure. There's nothing too special about this. It's probably great against dinosaurs.
I would play 1 or 2 if I pulled them and I was playing white.
True.
Now, is this better than the other enchantment that we saw, the Exile that creates a dinosaur?
I think so,
Yeah?
absolutely. Yeah.
Now, would you play this over Pious Interdiction?
Which one's that again?
Ixalan card, 4 mana. You exile a creature, you gain 2 life. No, sorry. It's the same. It does the same thing. It can't attack or block, and you gain 2 life. So it gets a little bit of life gain, but it is 1 more mana.
Yeah, I'd play this over that.
Okay.
The 3 mana is just where you want to be for a card like this. The only thing that sucks about it is it's not stopping any activated abilities.
Yeah.
But so far, we haven't seen too many activated abilities. It's been mostly triggered abilities, so maybe that's not even an issue, right? It might fit just where it needs to be. So stopping dinosaurs from attacking or blocking is strong. Stopping even some pirates like Daring Saboteur or whatever it's called.
True.
It's really, really good.
Or even if you were up against Merfolk and you had some unblockables, that would be probably a pretty decent card to field against that. But of course, like, you are running into the problem of those, decks going really wide. So, even putting this on the, like, Weaver of Waves, like, that's not, that won't nullify it's like a actual effect, right?
Right.
So, probably going to give this a solid B.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's not an amazing card, but if you have it, I would play it for sure. When it comes to picking it in a draft over a sealed event, that's where it gets a bit more iffy. It's not something you want to pull right away. But if you end up picking it, then it does have a place in your deck.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Moving on. We have Legion Conquistador once again. 3 CMC, of course. It's a 2/2, and it's going to fetch any number of cards named Legion Conquistador from your deck. You're going to reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. This is,
It's a common.
Yeah.
It's a Squadron Hawk vampire. That's what it is.
I could see, like, if you don't have any great legendary vampires, but you have that vampire tutor, like, fetching this guy, getting 3 of them from your deck, getting them out as 3/3s instead of 2/2s. But
true.
That's like
until end of turn, though.
Oh, is it only till end of turn?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a counter.
Forerunner of the Legion doesn't give them a counter, but yeah. I mean, hey, like, if you had, like, Vanquisher's Banner, that would be cool. But again, that's a lot to set up.
It's a lot of ifs.
Yeah, a lot of ifs.
Yeah, if I needed creatures, maybe they go in pretty late. C plus, same as Ixalan.
All right, let's move on now to another vampire soldier. This is Exultant Sky Marcher. It's CMC 3, double white in its cost. It has flying, and it's a 2/3. That's you can't really shake a stick at that. Like, I think it's pretty good. And if you are going vampires, you are of course going to be sticking into 2 colors. A little trickier to cast, but, like, I think that's just like a solid creature base for me, because it has, of course, that evasive flying keyword.
Well, we saw earlier that dinosaur that was 4 mana. It was a 2/2 flyer, and I thought that was a good card.
Yeah.
So the fact that this is a 3 mana 2/3, even if you can't play it early on because you're missing that second white, later on in the game it's still going to be a good card because it's a 2/3 flyer. So it's able to get over a lot of creatures and do some damage.
Probably give that a B-.
Yeah, I'll go there.
Sick. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, same. flyers are always good. Getting some evasion on the board, and I think it's strictly better than it is better than the Sky March Bloodletter, which is a 1/3 for, is that 3 from Ixalan? 1/3 for 3, 1/3 for 2. Yeah. It's just I'd play this over that every time, and
I don't know if you play it over it. I think you'd probably just play both because.
I think they're better 2-drop vampires than Sky March.
Well, I mean, like remember, you're trying to fill out a curve in limited, right? So,
Yeah,
more flyers is better always, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay.
My rule of thumb is play as many flyers as you can.
Yeah.
So I'd give this a B-.
Okay, cool. All right, so moving on, we have Divine Verdict. This is a combat trick. It's an instant for 4 mana. One, of course, being white. And it says destroy target attacking or blocking creature. Haven't we seen cheaper effects like this?
I think so. That's what I was thinking. I can't remember any off the top of my head, but I probably...
Impeccable Timing.
That might have a clause. Is it maybe like power something or another?
Slash of Talons. That's only 2 damage. That's 2 damage.
I probably never picked this card, but if it ended up in my pool, maybe in a sideboard. I mean, it would always be in a sideboard in limited anyways, but...
Impeccable Timing was just 3 damage to target attacking or creature. Attacking or blocking creature. So yeah, this is a little bit better than that, but it's
Impeccable Timing's 2 mana though, right?
Yeah, this is 4 mana.
And Slash of Talons, which is in this, what was in the last set? It was in Ixalan. Is 1 mana and it's 2 damage. So
yeah, so Divine Verdict has its place. Probably against dinosaurs, as we see in the art there. We'd want to play that against dinosaurs. Again, I would never pick it, but if it ended up in my pool, then I'd probably end up sideboarding it in at some point. So
this is something that you'd hopefully want to wheel if you're in a draft. I'd probably give this a B+. It's just a little. I just think 4 CMC is a little too expensive, but it is outright removal. But of course, it's not exiling creatures. It's destroying them. So if you have anything that has indestructible, it's going to be totally worthless against it.
I think it's too conditional for B+. I think I'd go down to B-.
I'd go to B-, even a C+. Again, I'm never going to be happy about picking this card, and I'm only ever going to think about putting it into my deck after sideboarding.
Okay, sounds good. Next we have it's Snub Horn Sentry. It costs 1 white. It's a dinosaur. It's going to check for Ascend, and it's normally a 0/3 wall, but if you do have the City's Blessing, it's going to enter the battlefield. If you do get the City's Blessing and you already have this creature on the battlefield, it will of course turn into a 3/3 for 1 mana, which is pretty good. Mm-hmm. I think this is a great early play if you are into dinosaurs, and even if you're not playing dinosaurs, I would gladly kind of shoehorn this into a vampire deck as well. It's a really awesome sort of like a piece of like aggro and almost a like target for your opponent's removal spells. I would probably give this just a solid B.
I think B is slightly too high. I think if it was a 0/4, I might give it a B. I think especially with Ixalan, Rivals of Ixalan, there's a lot of stuff that there's a lot of combat tricks that buff creatures. There's a lot of creatures that hit for over 3. I feel like that by turn 3, this is going to start trading with things that people are attacking with. It might stall till then. If it was a 0/4 wall, I could say okay, cool. I would definitely give it a B+. But I think 0/3 is I don't know. I when I played Shorekeeper for blue, when I was playing Shorekeeper, I find that it disappointed me more times than not.
This card it's not great. It's nothing to write home about. However, if you're running the Red Forerunner, I'm going to keep talking about that card because I love it. Getting this in your hand later in the game, if you have Forerunner out, is actually pretty great because it's just 1 mana rile all your creatures, so you get all your enraged triggers. So in that case, I like the card. A 3/3. If you have 10 permanents, nothing special. And there are a lot of cards that are 3 power early game. There's the vampire who's a 3/3 for 2, as we saw earlier. So you can't block that, or you lose this guy. We'll see shortly. There's a dinosaur that's a 3 power that can easily wipe this thing out as well before it gets to be a 3/3. If it had some other ability with City's Blessing, like Vigilance or something like that, then maybe it'd be a bit better. But I'd only play this again if I had ETB triggers to play off of this.
I think I really like this card just because it sort of helps you fill out the curve of your deck, and it's also going to kind of like get you like right out of the gate towards actually getting Ascend too, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to, you I think this is probably going to be an undervalued like common card for me, because we haven't really, obviously, like, we haven't play tested this set yet. We haven't actually gotten into how important Ascend is, but it might be something that's more important than we think. But like, who knows? So like, that's why I'm kind of just going for like probably a B- to a B. Yeah, but yeah, I wouldn't run more than one. So maybe I'm just simply overvaluing it, but we'll see. So moving on, we have once again Raptor Companion. This was in the like plain Ixalan set, and it's 2 CMC, 1 white, 1 colorless. It's a dinosaur, and it's a 3/1.
I was always happy to get this out on the board. I really liked Raptor Companion, 3/1 for 2. From my opinion, it's a great card.
I think it's only good if you're punishing your opponent, like if they're unable to play things early game. Because if they play a 1/1, it looks like you lose your 3/1 if you want to swing. But it can be fast if they're unable to play things early. Other than that, I don't really like the card too much.
I think it also gets rid of a lot of things that swing in. You know, a lot of 2/3s, a lot of 1/3s. If your opponent's playing a lot of creatures, a lot of early game creatures, having this out on the board is kind of almost a deterrent to playing those creatures.
That's fair.
Middle C plus.
C- for me, because you're not gonna be happy about picking it, but if you have it, then I guess you might play it.
C.
Right on. All right, next up we have Martyr of Dusk, and this is a 2 CMC, 1 white, 1 colorless. It's a vampire soldier. It's a 2/1 piker. When Martyr of Dusk dies, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. I think that's a pretty decent effect. A pretty good like 2-drop if you are going into the actual vampire tribe. Yeah, like this is gonna help you gain this will help you start to gain life. Yeah, where it matters, right?
You got to remember with the Sun, this is also really good. Mm-hmm. If you do luck into a Legion's Landing and this is in your common pool, that's 4 permanents right there.
Yeah,
and that's 6 permanents on turn 2. You can get a Sun really early with this card. And
well, this is when it dies, though. So
is it when it dies?
Yeah, it's going to replace it basically.
Okay.
It's that's still important. If,
no, it's
if
still
you want to
good.
Get
but
Ascend.
yeah,
I thought it was an ETB. I can't read it from back here.
Oh.
Yeah. There we go. It's a little bit better.
I would give this probably a C+ to a B-, just because it's going to replace itself, and if you're trying to go wide, I think that really matters. And the fact that it's a 2/1 means it's probably going to trade with a lot. Obviously, it's not going to do much against dinosaurs, but if you want to just maintain board control, I think this is a really solid common creature base for the actual vampire tribe.
I might give Doom Traveler like a B, so I'd probably give this a B-, because Doom Traveler is a 1 mana, 1/1 when it dies, you make a spirit with flying. So again, I'm a big fan of flying. I'd much prefer that over something like this. But it's a little unfair because that is also 1 mana. This is a 2 mana card.
Yeah.
But it definitely has its place in a tribal deck.
C+, B- for me as well. Nice. I'd be happy about picking that close, maybe not first pick, but early mid pack.
Next up, we have Sun Sentinel. This is a 2 CMC, 1 white, 1 colorless. It's a human soldier with vigilance, and it's a 2/2. Pretty plain creature, but I think that the vigilance keyword is what is going to set this out apart from any of the other creatures that's like in white and in this like common rarity. I would just give this a solid B plus.
Bear with an upside, yeah. C plus. I'd be happy about picking it mid pack again. Yeah, and I'd be happy about playing it and putting it in my deck.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bear with a little bit of a bonus. It's a vigilant creature. The only downside to me is the fact that it's human that has no place really in this set because it's all about dinosaurs, vampires, merfolk, pirates. So this does nothing for that. Otherwise, it's not a bad creature. You just probably won't be making it any bigger than a 2/2.
And it seems like there's like a lot of misplaced, like or out of place human tribe cards in this set.
Always got to have humans.
Yeah,
Next up, we have Squire's Devotion. This is CMC 3. It's an enchantment aura. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has lifelink. When Squire's Devotion enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. So this is going to count towards Ascend too.
Mm-hmm.
I could see this being really good with the vampire that untaps when it gains life.
Yeah.
So suddenly on turn, what was the CMC on the?
2 with Famished Path. So you're gonna have a 3/3, right? That's gonna turn into
potentially a 4/4 on
with
turn
lifelink.
3 on lifelink.
Yep. So it can untap itself, which is very good.
Stars Align. That's really good. It's a budget Mark of the Vampire. I will probably always include this in a vampire deck.
It's Mark of the Vampire, and it's going to get you another 1/1 as soon as it enters.
Yeah.
So that's really good. Like I think that this is probably the card that's going to give people like Ascend.
Yeah. The only thing that we have to realize here is that the token it's making does have lifelink. Oh, it's at the very end. Okay. So yeah, no, this is absolutely an amazing card. I didn't see the lifelink at the end there. So the fact that it's getting +1/+1 and lifelink and making another lifelinker, this is a common that's an A for me. This is a really good common.
I'm going to give it A- just because it's an enchantment.
Does this have a place in Standard?
Probably not. I would say no because it's just a little too slow.
Okay.
3 mana enchantment, you're probably going to lose that creature and then you just wasted mana.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have Moment of Triumph. It's 1 CMC, 1 white. It's an instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and you gain 2 life. This could help you trade with something, or even like allow one of your vampires to like survive a trade. You know what I mean? Just like pretty decent combat trick. I don't like. Yeah.
I don't know. I really liked Vampire Zeal in Rivals Ixalan. Sorry, not Rivals, just regular Ixalan. I really liked Vampire Zeal. The upside to Vampire's Zeal was contingent upon you having a vampire, and this one has an upside that is not contingent upon that, so it kind of gives it a little bit of versatility. Vampire Zeal I already played in my dinosaur decks, but now if I get a Moment of Triumph, I'll be happy to play that instead.
I really like this card. If you're playing a deck that has any sort of life gain triggers, you're getting 2 life gain triggers off this, because you're getting 2 life, and then you're most likely playing vampires if you're playing this.
Yeah.
So if you target a creature with lifelink, you're going to gain life again. And they're separate triggers, because one happens in combat, one happens when the spell resolves.
True.
So it's very good for that.
Awesome. In terms of letter grade, I'd probably give this a B.
I want to give it a B, but it is a combat trick, so C+.
That's what I was going to say as well. C+.
Yeah.
But I will play it. I'll play it in my deck.
Mm-hmm.
Dinosaurs or pirates.
Probably one of. If I got more than one, I would be very tempted to play more. But you got to remember, you just need to play a lot of creatures. So
Yeah. Sun-Crested Pterodon is a 5 CMC, 1 white creature, dinosaur with flying. And Sun-Crested Pterodon has vigilance as long as you control another dinosaur. And it's a 2/5 for 5. What do you guys think of this versus the other 5 CMC, the Imperial Ceratops? You're paying sure, like it's a 2/5 with flying, and Imperial Ceratops is a 3/5 with that awesome life gain and rage trigger. I think this is pretty good for being printed at common value.
If you're going dinosaurs as well, it's going to have vigilance, so you have to remember that as well.
Right.
But I don't like 2/5 flyers for 5.
I like this card. I prefer the 3/5 over it because Enrage is very easy to do.
Yeah.
So you're most likely going to get a lot more value out of the 3/5. This card might be pretty good against pirates because there's a lot of flying pirates, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yes.
this will just stop them dead from swinging at you. So again, 5 mana. It's not amazing, but a 2/5 flyer, it's going to stop most things coming at you that are flying.
Huh. I would probably give this a B minus, just because it's like 5 CMC. Like, yeah, and like once again with all these other sort of like late curve dinos, you can get it out earlier. Maybe a B minus to a B.
I give it a C.
Okay.
Just because it's 5 mana. It's not anything to write home about. You're gonna maybe play. It might not even find a spot in your deck if you have amazing dinosaurs. So it's good for what it does, but it's not something that needs to be in the deck.
Like I think like I would probably give it a C if it had double white in its like casting like requirement. But this is obviously like splashable if you are playing vampires. So yeah, but I mean, like, would you want to?
I'd rather play like a Shining Aerosaur or something that's has a little bit more power. This does have potentially, or most of the time, probably vigilance, but it's just the 2 power is kind of, it's really turning me off from the card for 5 mana.
Fair enough.
C for me as well.
Sick. All right. Last up, we have Cleansing Ray, and this is a sorcery speed removal. 1 white, 1 colorless. And it says choose 1, destroy target vampire or destroy target enchantment. I think this is probably a sideboard card.
Oh, it's absolutely a sideboard card, but it's probably one of the best sideboard cards out there. I love those abilities.
Yeah.
Both those abilities are useful against vampires, or even just the 1 target enchantment destroying is going to find a place against a lot of decks that run any sort of enchantments, either auras or any of those enchantments that turn into lands. You can stop them dead from turning anything into a land.
I totally forgot about that. So yeah, those legendary enchantments like Legion's Landing, gone. Mm-hmm. That's really excellent.
I don't ever want to
Search
see
for Azcanta, Spires of Verazca.
The green-black one is insanely strong, so if I can destroy that, I want to.
Yeah, okay.
But remember, you have to you can only get rid of it before it flips, because if it flips, it's no longer an enchantment. It's a land.
Yeah, so that's the one downside, is this is a sorcery. But for 2 mana, it's very valuable.
Yes. So probably B to a B plus.
Yeah.
I'd agree.
All right. So that about does it for the white color for Rivals of Ixalan. Next up, we're going to move and we're going to do blue.
So commons and uncommons in blue. Let's do this.
Awesome.